morning, y'all. This is Debbie Arnold with Dining with Debbie. We are making a very lemony pound cake today. It's one of my favorite desserts because it's not so overly sweet. Plus, it keeps well for several days, and then it also freezes extremely well. So it's a great one to have on hand if you should have family coming, friends coming. You know, we used to get together like that, or gift giving, or sharing, however you might want to share. We're going to start by preheating our oven to 350 degrees for a conventional oven. If you have a convection oven, you'll need to adjust according to your manufacturer's directions. Then we are going to grease 8.5 by 4.5 inch loaf pan. If you use a different size, you'll have to adjust your cooking time for that. I take the butter wrapper and I smear that all around the pan, and then I line it with parchment paper and then spray that with Baker's Joy, which is a combination of flour and oil. And you will need to use that flour oil mixture to line your pan, even if you don't use the parchment paper. Following that, we're going to mix up our dry ingredients. What we'll have combined right here is 1.5 cups of cake flour. And cake flour is necessary for this to give it the lightness that it needs. I keep it on hand in my freezer or refrigerator I have downstairs. Then 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Make sure it's baking powder and not soda. I've mixed those up before myself. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt will work. All right, and you're going to mix those up and just whisk those together. You can have those on standby. After that, we're going to do our egg mixture and our butter mixture. We have right here 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar. We're going to whisk those together with 4 room temperature eggs. And it's important to have your eggs at room temperature because they incorporate better into your mixture. So I'm going to start whisking that. You'll just have to excuse the noise. And adding those in. It's much the same process as you would any other batter. But we are going to treat the dry ingredients a little bit differently. Adding those in one at a time and whisking them in real good. I am using the whisk attachment on my mixer. You can certainly do this by hand if you want to. You can also use a food processor if you have a good, strong food processor. All right. Following that, we are going to add in the zest of 1 lemon. And I told you earlier how much I love lemon, and I like to use the zest whenever I can. I always zest lemons before I use them. Even if I'm only going to use the juice, I take the zest and I keep it. If I'm not going to use it right then, to incorporate into sugar or olive oil, which is a real good combination, by the way, or whatever I might be going to use it for, I will just simply put it in the bag and put it in the freezer. I always use it. It just adds so much flavor even to finish off a dish. You might try it sometime. Just sprinkle a little lemon zest or a little lemon juice as a finishing agent on maybe you're doing fish or even chicken or pasta. Oh yeah, it's really good that way. All right, so I have zested 1 lemon. Now I'm going to juice that lemon. Then I'm going to incorporate all of the juice of this lemon into this mixture that I have going in the mixer right now. I have one of those handy dandy little squeeze round things. Beautiful. My grandmother's, it was hers. It was a depression glass one, and it's gorgeous. But I don't know. I just hate to get it down and use it, I guess. And that's kind of a silly thing, isn't it? All that stuff that we keep that we don't use because it's too pretty or whatever. All right, I'm juicing all of that lemon juice in there. Now, another thing that I added this to the dry ingredients and I forgot, was I like this little True Lemon dry ingredient, True Lemon that you can buy in the grocery store. It comes in packets like this. You can use it in your teas or whatever. It's really good, y'all. And I sprinkle 2 of these into my dry ingredients as well because I'm adding that extra boost of lemon. All right, so I've juiced my lemon and I've zested my lemon. And it's in here. We're going to whisk that up real quick. And then we're going to add in 2 sticks of unsalted butter. that has been melted and that is still warm. You want it to be warm. Not so hot that it's going to curdle your eggs, but pretty warm. All right, I'm going to add in the 2 cups of butter. I've got 2 cups, 2 sticks of butter that I've already melted. Let that whisk real good. While that's doing that, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I'm going to use for flavoring. This is vanilla bean paste. I like to use the vanilla bean paste because I think the flavor of the vanilla is intensified. And I also like to use bakery emulsion, a lemon bakery emulsion. Both of these are thicker and have more intense flavor. So I'm going to add in about a half a teaspoon of this lemony bakery emulsion. If you get a little bit more, go for it. And then a teaspoon of the vanilla bean paste. I like to see those little flecks of vanilla beans in here. Vanilla's gotten so expensive, it's just, gosh, it's ridiculous. So, I'm going to twist that up really, really good. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, and this is, you really do need to do this. I don't sift very much, but we do need to sift this. It just makes for a lighter pound cake. Okay, we're going to do this in 3 portions. So, there's portion number 1. Gosh, I remember growing up learning to cook, and we had to sift everything, sift our flour and everything. And I still, to this day, sift all my powdered sugar when I first get it. And it makes such a difference. If you sift it and then put it in whatever container you keep your powdered sugar in, it will stay light and fluffy for the most part. Never have any problems with lumps. This is a real fine sifter. I probably could have used one a little bit with larger holes, but this one will work. Okay, first portion, we're going to whisk that in. Like I said, this is something you could easily do by hand if you wanted to. But I like my mixer. Okay. We're going to add in that next portion. This is number 2. And then we'll do the third one. This is probably the hardest part of the whole cake. And get that sifted down here. You know, I don't even own a big sifter anymore. I was thinking the other day what happened to mine. I guess it just wore out. I don't remember. All right. This is our second portion of flour that we're adding into our butter egg mixture. You want to make sure that gets really good and incorporated. Wipe down the sides. I wonder, what are some of your favorite lemon desserts? You know, we all grew up probably on lemon icebox pie. When my husband and I first married, one of the things he loved about his mother's cooking was her lemon icebox pie. And I thought, well, that's something I've grown up doing. I can do that. But whenever I made one, it was never as good as his mother's. You know how that goes. Anyway, so one Thanksgiving, here's the third portion. We went to his mother's for Thanksgiving. And sure enough, bless her heart, she's the sweetest person. She made him a lemon icebox pie. And she was an okay cook. My gosh, she had a bunch of kids, so she had to learn to cook and cook economically. But after he tasted his mother's lemon icebox pie, he never fussed about my lemon icebox pie again. So, and he still laughs about it to this day. You know, it's those memories that you grow up with. All right, we got it all in there now. Whoops, there's just a tiny bit of it. Okay, I'm gonna mix that up. Having our pan ready, our oven is preheated, and we're gonna be good to go. If you missed it earlier, I made a lemon simple syrup that we're gonna use with this cake after it comes out of the oven. So if you missed that, go back and look for that video of how to make that, because I think you'll want to add it to this cake as you go. My grandmother used to make this pound cake that was, oh my gosh, it was so good. In fact, it was so good we called it butter cake. So that ought to tell you, I mean, it had that home churned butter in it, you know, and it was so full of flavor. It was just absolutely delicious. Unfortunately, I don't have her recipe. I've tried to duplicate that, and I've not been able to. So I don't know what she did to hers to make it as delicious as it was, but it was really delicious. Other than I know for a fact that she would melt, after it was done, she would melt butter and pour it over that butter pound cake. So that's probably what made it so delicious. All right, we are good and incorporated here. And I'm going to get ready to put it into our pan. Can you see that batter? Now, some people would add lemon food coloring. Yellow food coloring. I don't do that. I just like flavor and all of the lemon to be in the cake, not looking like lemon. That makes sense? Okay. Putting our batter in here. Now, I've shown you before one of the little tricks I have for getting a really smooth top on your cake. And we're going to do that. Some people think it's kind of brutal. All right, you're going to take your cake and you're going to actually just pound it onto your cake top, onto your countertop. And there we have it. All right, it's ready to cook. It's going to cook for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'll start with checking it in 45 minutes. And when it's done, I'll bring it out, show you how I use that lemon simple syrup with it, and we'll have a bite of lemon cake. Thanks so much. Come back soon. Okay, we've taken our lemony pound cake out of the oven, and I'm going to put it right here. What I'm going to do next is poke a few holes in the top of it using a small wooden skewer. You don't want to do it so much that you literally are going to have the cake fall apart. Some people get carried away with punching the holes. You don't need to do that. Just a few here and there. And then we're going to take our lemon simple syrup that we made earlier, and we are going to use about half of it for this. I'm going to put that on top of the cake and let it soak into the cake. We'll leave the cake sitting on the wire rack for about 10 minutes, and then we'll turn it out and let it cool completely. You don't want to cut this cake before it's cooled completely, and that's probably 2 to 3 hours. So once you finish, you have this really delightful lemony flavored cake, and I'm going to probably serve this up with either some whipped cream and or lemon curd on the side, and you can find the recipe for lemon curd. I also call it tart lemon jelly, and that's what I grew up learning it to be. You can find that on my blog, Dining with Debbie. Let this cool completely before you turn it out, and then slice it up. Serve it plain or serve it, I like it toasted even, but serve it with some whipped cream to the side or some tart lemon jelly, lemon curd. However you might like to serve it best, and maybe garnish it with a little mint if you happen to have some growing. I hope you enjoy this luscious lemon pound cake, and that you'll make one up for your family today and share it with friends or neighbors. And I hope you have just the most blessed day. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your sweet comments. Thank you for sharing to your friends and family. I really appreciate it. I hope you'll come again soon for another delicious dish. We're going to have them. Y'all come again. Thank you.